Welcome everyone. This is Desi Vijay. I'm a NorthSouth National Team member and a coordinator for the webinars. I'm glad to see you all here today. We are pleased to have another session, this time for math, with few of our past winners and well-accomplished youngsters. We call this session Meet the Pro type webinars, in which we are bringing in a successful youngsters to come in and talk to the younger peers and then talk about their experience, their achievements, and answer any of the questions, and also to encourage those youngsters to participate in the future contests and go beyond North-South competitions also. We had a session on spelling, vocab, brain bee, and science pros during the last few weeks. You can watch those sessions in our North-South YouTube channel anytime you want. Today, we are meeting with the math pros. Thank you for attending this, and then thank you for all your support. These youngsters we are here today are really involved with our math core team, and they are very much eager to meet with you and share their thoughts with you and answer your questions. And also, I just want to say that we refer them as pros, which doesn't mean they are the most experts in the field, but they are still, high schoolers and college-bound youngsters, and they still have to accomplish so much in their lives. However, they achieved a little bit more than their peers, and then they are willing to, share that experience with all of you. That's why we call them pros. As all of you know, our regional contest registrations are started, and we'll be sharing some information and high-level one here about the math contest. But please visit NorthSouth website for more information and do register today. And thank you for listening. And then let's get on with the program. Thank you, everybody. I hear we have Dr. Anil Sethi, who is the Math Core team member, available here to moderate the session. And we also have Vinay Mogadula in the background to help us with answer your questions. And Dr. Anil Sethi is a Math Core professor of medical physics at Loyola University in Chicago. He's the member of the Math Core team, as I said, and also a coaching team, workshop team, and regionals and nationals team. He has served for NorthSouth Foundation for more than 15 years. He's instrumental in bringing this math contest to our organization. He also organizes and teaches many NSF math workshops in all levels. He coaches math count students and have gone to state and national competitions. So he's one of the founding member of this math team, and I welcome him to introduce the panel to you and then start the discussion.
Thank you, Desi. Hope you can all hear me well. And thank you to the participants, the interested parents and students who have joined in today. We are delighted to be able to offer this session to you, and we are also very honored that we have some expert students here who are going to be the part of the panel, and they'll be sharing their experiences with math competition, how they got interested in math, and how they got to where they are now and how they started, and we'll be fielding your questions. So I will be introducing them. Let me share a PowerPoint with you. So our first panelist today is David Altizio. David Altizio is a third-year graduate student at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. He received his bachelor's and master's degrees in Carnegie Mellon University. David is best known for his math competition problems, which have appeared on numerous contests such as the AMC, AMY, CMIMC, and IMO. Currently, he is an interim editor-in-chief for the AMC 10 and AMC 12 contests. So great going, David. We'll be coming back to you with some more questions. The next panel member is Shreya Mogulutu. Shreya has always been interested in problem solving and has enjoyed participating in North-South contests since second grade. So she got a very early start. She has qualified for the Amy 4 times and has been invited to the Math Prize for Girls twice. She is also recipient of the Miriam Mirzakhani Award from the MAA and a runner-up for the Strogatz Prize for the math communication. She has also received the MIT Philosophy Award for the paper she submitted for the course Paradox and Infinity. She volunteers to teach math and hosts fun math meets a few times a year. She's looking forward to joining MIT this August as a computer science math major. So great going, Shreya. Eric Wong. Eric is a senior at North Allegheny High School. He's fond of math contests, having qualified for Amy 3 times and USMO in 2021. Eric is an enthusiastic teacher, being a teaching assistant for North Allegheny's linear algebra class, a regular contributor as well to his school's math and physics club, and in his spare time he enjoys writing geometry problems. So good job, Eric, and we are delighted that you can join us. The last panel member is Suyash Pandit. Suyash is a junior at Sunset High School in Portland, Oregon. He is a U.S. Junior Math Olympiad qualifier back in 2019, also a Math Counts national runner-up and 2018 Math Counts state champion from Oregon. Last year, he was selected to participate in the prestigious Stanford University Math Camp. Suyash enjoys playing alto saxophone, going on long bike rides, and rooting for Portland Trail Blazers. Hopefully, they'll win their NBA championship soon. So we are really delighted that all these experts, enthusiasts, students who have really gone above and beyond the regular math coursework and achieved great results out of that. And a core theme in all of these is they are enthusiasts. They love to work with math problems, solve them, and write problems as well. And that's really a great trait. So we will, as I've introduced them, I will like to request them to say a few words about their experiences, and then we'll be posing some questions for them. So David, why don't you start and say a few words?
Okay. Hi, I'm David, as you can see. Well, I guess I should start by saying, how did I get started in math? Well, it's kind of a weird story. When I was in 4th grade, and I'm not saying I started math contests in 4th grade, but when I was in 4th grade, we went to a library book sale, my parents and I happened to notice a bunch of, someone had donated a bunch of math textbooks to the book sale. And, my mom couldn't see them, but I was short enough that I could see underneath the table and I noticed them. And we decided, hey, you know what, we might as well just, you've shown an interest in mathematics. We might as well just buy some of them. I mean, granted, I didn't know about the math, so I started reading the calculus book before I started reading the algebra book because I didn't realize that one went before the other and I got thoroughly confused. But it was at that point that my parents noticed that, I was actually going through the books fairly decently, and they started to, pursue mathematics a little more thoroughly. So I did participate in math counts in 6th grade and 7th grade, but it wasn't really until 8th grade when I started really getting serious about preparation. So yeah, why do I like math? I think that, well, there is a difference between math competitions and research mathematics, and each of them has their pros and cons. I think math competition stuff is good to know for your own purposes, and undergraduate math is good to know for your own purposes. The two coexist. But I think what math competitions offer is a sense of having interesting problems to solve. And, sometimes when you're working on a math problem in a course, you sort of get the feeling that you're kind of just doing the problem for the sake of doing it, like it's an exercise that you're being asked to prove, and it's not very interesting. But in math competition problems, the best problems not all of them, but the best problems are memorable. Like you can ask someone, hey, how did you solve 2009 IMO problem 6? And pretty much all of the best competitors would be like, oh yeah, that's the problem about grasshoppers. So I was asked to possibly give a problem for some of the students to think about. So I have one written on an index card. And I might as well give you an example of the sorts of things that you might find in math competitions that I think are interesting and that motivate me to solve problems and write them. So you have a triangle. Here is a diagram, if you can see it. You have a triangle, right? And let's say that rectangle is a 3 by 11 rectangle, and you can fit it inside the triangle in 2 different ways. You can fit it down at the bottom like that, so that one of the sides is on the bottom edge, or you can fit it like this along the top edge. And there are lots of triangles for which this thing holds. Like there are lots of triangles for which you can fit a 3 by 11 rectangle in both ways. But miraculously, all of those triangles have the same area. Why? And this is the sort of thing that you would only be able to get in a math competition problem. You wouldn't be thinking about these problems as like a research problem. And yeah, this might not be the most groundbreaking sort of thing to think about, but it's an interesting idea. And I think math competitions are really good at dealing with interesting ideas. So that's part of the reason why I write problems. That's part of the reason why I help out on the end now with the AMC and AIME. And it's just fun. Like college math is more deep. Research math is more deep, but competition math is just more fun. Is there anything else you want me to talk about, or is that good?
Well, I have a question, Eric. So how did you, do you remember what was the first competition you had participated in?
Me?
I'm sorry, David.
So, yes and no. So there were math league contests, I think, for middle schoolers and elementary schoolers that I participated in, and these were before I really knew what math contests were. So it's hard to say that like my elementary school offered them in 4th grade and 5th grade, right? So it wasn't a matter of me like going out and doing these math contests. It was more like, hey, I was in the math enrichment program, and they were offering these contests. I might as well do them. I forget exactly what the contests were called. I think they were mathleague.com, but I'm not entirely certain. It's been a while. So
now you had a very interesting start. You went to a bookstore and you found a bunch of books, and you can kind of say you got started on your own. But do you remember any mentor who helped you along the way that had a strong influence on you?
I'll say that I didn't have a coach. Like I did do a few like programs every now and then, mostly through summer camps. But I didn't necessarily have a coach. Really, I got a lot of my experience through the Art of Problem Solving boards, because I am a pretty frequent. I was a very, and I still kind of am, a very frequent member of that site. So I got a sense of community through interacting with other people in some sense. So
very nice.
Yeah, that's where I got a lot of that from.
Well, let's turn to Shreya. Shreya, you want to say a few words about yourself?
Sure. So, yeah, I got into math like when I was in 2nd grade because, NorthSouth, and NorthSouth has math contests. So, my dad signed me up and I went. And, at that point, I didn't like understand too much of like math or like why math. But what really got me interested in like competitions in general is the crowd you find there. Everyone is really supportive of each other, especially at NorthSouth. And the discussions that happen afterward about like the problems that you see on the contest, maybe not so much in 2nd grade, but as you grow older, they're really interesting. And seeing how different people like solve different problems versus how you might have solved it is like a valuable part of doing math in contests or like in groups, especially in high school now. There are a lot of team contests rather than individual contests. and working with other people is like a really attractive part of competition math.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, you accomplished so much in this short period of time. Do you have some advice for younger students who may be interested in following in your footsteps?
So I want to say be persistent. It's really easy when you see a hard problem to like want to look at the solution, but like think about it for like 5 or 10 minutes more and then look at it if you still need it, because like often we expect to get to the heart of the problem in like 2 minutes or like after reading the problem. It's not always easy to see where you're supposed to go. So just think about it from many different angles, and then when you're like truly stuck, as in like, you know, you spend 5 minutes and not another new thought has come to you, then you can look at the solution.
Yeah. One of the techniques that I've always found very helpful is like mental math, you know, working with problems without paper and pencil in your mind, creating an image. And that's really gone. Do you want to share any thoughts along those lines?
So sometimes I do it if I like want to, but at the same time I like writing things down so that like if I have a thought and I forget it, I don't want to forget like my previous thoughts. So I write them down just to like have a more reliable storage bank than my brain.
Sure. Awesome. Well, we'll come back. We'll be coming back to you with more questions, I'm sure. Let's turn to Eric. Eric Wong.
For me, I started to get into math when I was in 8th grade. I joined a local math team. Actually, David at that time was at CMU, and he was a coach at Armo. So that was how I got into math. I think a lot of so I teach a lot in various capacities. Like the slides mentioned that I was a linear algebra TA, and I also was an instructor at like a few summer camps. And I think for me, the math, of course, I enjoyed learning it for, you know, intrinsically for math for its own sake, but I also, like maybe 50% of it was also the joy of communicating it to other people. So it was kind of like you would learn something and then you would get excited about it, maybe not 100% just because it's beautiful by itself, but because you're going to have the opportunity to have someone else share in your excitement. And that's, you know, what I had a chance to do at these, you know, while teaching. In terms of advice, both getting into math for the first time and advancing competitively is like latch onto a topic that you really enjoy. Don't force yourself to do something that you don't want to do. I mean, this doesn't contradict. I mean, yes, I agree with Shreya's advice. Like, obviously, you want to be persistent and you want to think about problems deeply, and you don't want to give up very easily. But I think this is like kind of adjacent to that in the sense that if like I think a lot of people, for example, we're talking about math contests. If you really don't enjoy doing mock AMCs or stuff like that, then don't do it and study something that you enjoy. And that subject for me was geometry. I really enjoyed geometry, and for several years I did nothing but geometry, like in 9th and 10th grade. That was the only thing I did, and I got really into it, and I started making problems in geometry. And you know, that gets you better at math in general as well, right? Because, you know, the last thing you want to do is lose interest for no reason, right? So yeah, that's my advice.
I can share your excitement about geometry.
I apologize for interrupting. Eric, your voice was echoing and we can't hear clearly. Is there a way you can put on your earphone or something to make it a little more audible?
Wait, sorry, could you not, is this better? Like if I speak louder, is it better?
A little bit better, but still you see echoing, kind of echo. That's fine. Yeah, if you can, but get close to the microphone and then talk.
Yeah, that would help. That would definitely help.
That would be help.
I'll get closer.
Yeah, in the meantime, yeah, we can go ahead with this here.
Yeah, very good. Well, first of all, congratulations, Eric. You've done great work, obviously. And tell us how your teaching efforts, how did you get involved in teaching, and how's that helped you with problem solving?
Yeah, so when I was in the 11th grade, I joined my math and physics club. I joined because I wanted to contribute a few lectures, but I gradually became more and more involved, and that was the first time that I communicated math to other people. And in 12th grade, I became a teaching assistant for our linear algebra course. And in terms of how it helped me do math, I think teaching can. I don't like to admit this, but it's like if you don't enjoy a topic in math and you don't enjoy learning it for yourself, then learn it as if you're going to communicate it to someone else. And I think that increases the excitement of the topic tremendously. It basically kind of gives you the sense that you have to learn it now because it's not for yourself, but it's for someone else. I think that's a good trick in learning something that you don't enjoy, actually, to pretend that you're going to teach someone. So better if it's not pretending, and better if you actually are going to present it, right? So, yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think just like David mentioned, he's writing problems and you're teaching. I think both of those go hand in hand with, trying to develop skills, problem solving skills, and understanding at a deeper level the problems. And as David showed, that problem with the triangle, it's kind of like working with concepts and problems and finding beauty in them. Another thing that was very interesting, what you said about the geometries, interest in geometry, is that there is, you may have heard of this thing called proof without words. A lot of problems can be solved, and that's using the geometrical patterns and such to be able to look at problems from multiple angles, which Shreya also mentioned earlier. So let me turn now to Suesh. Did I say your name correctly, Suesh?
It's Suyash.
Suesh, okay. Welcome.
All right, so well, I got into math at a very young age. My parents told me that I mastered single addition one night when I was 2. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I guess it just was kind of appealing to me because there are just so many applications in the world, right? I mean, just you see them every day, and kind of this way, that way. There's numbers every which way. So I mean, when I was in elementary school, I participated in some of these math competitions, but I kept improving, which was nice, but I didn't make much of it. And I guess it wasn't really until a few years later, as I was starting to start middle school, that I guess I realized there was really this community of other kids that kind of enjoy this just like me, and that I took comfort in. And I guess that's when I started to really take this more seriously, kind of seeing how I was improving over the years. And yeah, just from when I first qualified for Amy in 6th grade, and yeah, and there are some memorable experiences there too. Yeah, there's. I mean, I haven't had a single coach this entire time as such. I mean, my dad has always been very supportive of me throughout this entire process. Besides that, I would say the Oregon State math accounts coach when I was in 7th grade, Mr. Norris, he was always really helpful. Kind of even, I mean, obviously his school was literally competing against mine, and in 8th grade when we defeated him, obviously that was kind of bittersweet for him, but he's just been a mentor for me the whole life. So that's one person I could think of. And yeah, just this math community in general has really bolstered my enjoyment of the subject over the years. As for advice, I mean, if you don't want to necessarily take this seriously, if you want to just participate for fun, I'd say that's totally fine, right? Because I mean, not everyone enjoys this, and if you just want to try it out, see how you do, I mean, prepare if you want, that's good. But otherwise, if you just want to try it out, you could kind of choose what level you want to take it to, whether you're really serious about getting to that an Olympiad level or just doing this for fun. And I think there's a lot to enjoy in it either way. So if that's what you were wondering, that would kind of be my answer. There's really no wrong way to go about that.
Can you share with us how much time did you spend preparing for some of these elite competitions?
I mean, yeah, it's not as much like spending. I mean, I do attend a full-time school. I've always done that, and I guess I wasn't really spending that much time on it any single day preparing for this. It was more about consistency, especially leading up to Math Counts Nationals. And I guess one thing I've unconsciously been doing is kind of, there are some local groups here that participate in HMMT and ARML, and kind of when I go to those practices, that's really serving as preparation for all these competitions in some ways. So I mean, I can't really give a specific number, but that just gives you some idea of what I've been doing.
Well, you highlight a lot of great things, such as, role of supporting role of family, as well as mentors and
Yeah.
other peers, and that must be acknowledged. And we are all grateful for that we have a strong support system. And the other thing is, competition is one thing, but having fun solving these problems is more important. And so any other thoughts that any of the panel members wants to share with the parents and students before we move on to the next part of this? We'll be having a lot more questions from parents as well as from our NSF team. So Shreya, do you want to share with us some of the material related to the contests?
Yeah, sounds good. Okay.
You are the presenter, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
can you see
Okay.
the
Yeah,
Yep.
we can see.
I can see. Yep.
Okay, good. So, yeah, we're gonna be going over some like general contest info. So, yeah. Okay, so NorthSouth Math B. It's there are 3 levels to it. You can either participate in MB1, MB2, or MB3, and the grade levels are listed below. Okay, there are 2 phases. First phase is 25 multiple choice questions in 35 minutes. And the second phase is 20 multiple choice questions in 15 minutes. So phase 2 is going to be a bit shorter, and you have to solve the problems a bit quicker. Okay. Rules. So this is going to be an online test, and since it's all multiple choice, it's going to be electronically graded. You can guess that there's 1 point for a correct answer and 0 points for an incorrect answer. In particular, this means that you don't get partial credit, so you don't need to upload any scratch paper. Also, there's no penalty for guessing. Talking about scratch paper, you can use blank sheets of paper to do scratch work with a pen or pencil and an eraser, of course. You cannot use any form of external help, so like calculators, books, notes, whatever. You can read the small print. But yeah, you can't use anything other than your brain to solve the problems. Okay, good. Yeah, and if you want to know more about the rules, such as tiebreakers or like winners and how people are ranked, or like how you get invited to the national final, you can click that link. It's just the North-South online math contest page, which we will look at later. Okay, registration. So registration generally will close 2 weeks before the contest date, and since different chapters have different contest dates, they will have different deadlines for registration, so you might want to check that out. And the contest venues and dates, so it's online. Okay, the dates will be posted on the site as soon as the information is available. Okay. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the online math contest page that I linked earlier. If you look closely, you can see an Easter egg. Next to the Easter egg, there is a register online link, and that's where you register online. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but this is the register online link. Okay, good. Okay, preparation. So there are lots of resources that you can use to develop math skills, I guess. NorthSouth also has resource lists in that same page. So if you look, you can see the preparation page. There's also a syllabus page in which you can see the syllabus. Note that this is not like entirely comprehensive, but like it will give you a good guideline on how to prepare. There's also NorthSouth coaching, which we will look at how to find that on the page in the next slide. And in terms of outside resources, there are lots, but like on this slide, I included Singapore Math, Khan Academy, and Art of Problem Solving, which are names that you might have heard before, and I also included links to the websites. Okay, am I talking too fast? Or
Oh, fine.
Yeah,
I just want to chime in and say that, for parents, there are a lot of, as Shreya is saying, there's tons of resources online on the internet. But rather than searching everywhere, start with these basic ones. That is going to help you get started, and these are core essential resources.
Yes. Okay, thanks. And on this page, so you can see that if you go to US activities, then coaching, then math, you can, so if you click math, you'll get math specific coaching, but if you just click coaching, you'll, or like coaching overview or class catalog, you'll see the various other coachings that you can get. And the first one that you can see is math, and you can see the different like levels of coaching that you can get. Okay. Also, there are some sample problems on the site. If you click on the syllabus link here, you can see sample problems. I'll actually click on that link probably. But yeah, that's it for contest info. Okay, so should I go over some sample problems?
Yeah.
Okay.
And while she's opening the link, I would like to mention that the contest registration is open. The regional contests are in April, and the contest registrations are currently open. So I would encourage all of you to sign up. And based on the performance in the regionals, they can qualify for nationals, which will be held in August.
I think the dates are April 9th and April 30th for Math B.
For math, yes.
Yeah, right. Either one of them.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. So I don't know, you guys can pick which math B level. Okay, actually, since most people are in middle school, let's do level 2. Okay, by the way, if you want, people can like say their answers in chat, or like, I don't know how we want to do this, but okay, so you can do question 1. There are a lot of people at a parade. Some were men, some are women. How many children are there? Given that like people are either men, women, or children. I mean, if you want, I can just read them out and then you don't need to put it in chat.
I mean, we told them where to look at, right? So I think it's best to continue without.
Yeah.
That's it then.
Somebody said 865. So.
Okay, I trust you.
Well, that was very helpful, Shreya, and it's a quick overview of NSF Math B contest, what it's all about, how to sign up, and what resources are available. And I'm sure parents will find that information very helpful. And our panel has also shared with us very useful tips, how they got involved in math contest, how they got interested, motivated in trying to solve math problems, contest problems, etc. So we want to now turn to our parents and students and see if they have any questions for our team, our excellent panel. We'll be happy to field them. How do we go about that, Desi?
We can read out the questions for you, and I guess the panel can answer them. So we see one question is, what are the best resources to prepare for AME? That's one of the questions. Eric, do you want to take that? Eric or David?
Sure. Wait, the AIME?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the question. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I should say a disclaimer. This advice is very individual. Obviously, it's imperfect because it's only based on one data point, i.e., myself. So I wouldn't recommend like doing AME problems. I mean, I've never done like a mock AME before. I would say to get better at AME problems, like do Olympiad problems. So, I would say like USAJMO has pretty approachable Olympiad problems, but I think the advice that I gave previously also applies here, in terms of like doing stuff that you like. So for me, like miraculously, even though I only did geometry for a few years, I still managed to improve my AME score, to a point where I could qualify for the USAMO. So, you don't. I guess what I'm saying is, you don't have to like prepare, like you don't have to like mock the contest over and over again to get a high score on Amy. I guess that's the best way to prepare is to do problems at a higher level. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. And David,
Yeah, I'll sort of take an answer that's like simultaneously like the same as Eric's and slightly different from Eric's. I'll say that I also, I guess I also didn't really mock any AIMEs. That was partially because I was interested in just doing the problems. So by the time I got to the point where I would potentially mock an AIME, I had already kind of spoiled most of them anyway, and I tend to like remember the solutions to problems. So mocking them wouldn't really have done much for me. That's not to say, if you feel that, getting familiar with the contest environment, getting familiar with the contest environment is not a bad thing, right? So we're not saying that don't mock them. What we're saying is to get better at solving AIME problems is essentially the same thing as just getting better at math in general. And the way to get better at math in general is to do more problems. They can be AIME problems, but they don't have to be AIME problems, right? If you can do problems from Harvard, MIT, those are pretty difficult. You could do problems from PUMAC. You can do problems from Carnegie Mellon's math contest. Just getting the experience required to solve math problems in general is the best thing you can do to get better at problems for the AIME in particular. The weird thing for me to answer this question is when I was I was a high school student from 2012 to 2015. So the resources I used to deal with to prepare for math contests are not the same as the resources that are available today to be solving for math contests. So it's hard for me to answer that question particularly. I also don't think it would be productive for also the same reasons that Eric said. Every single person is different. What the training regimen that might work for an IMO gold medalist, one IMO gold medalist will be different than the training regimen for another IMO gold medalist. So it's more a matter, I think it's a matter of instead of me saying, okay, here's a list of resources that are useful, I will say the way to get better at math is to find out what works for you. Like, do you like going through problems meticulously? Going through the textbook meticulously and going through and solving every single problem? Do you find that works for you? Then go for it. Conversely, do you find that solving maybe like half the problems now in a chapter, then leaving and coming back later works for you? Then do that. It's all a matter of personal preference, and I think there are some growing pains associated with finding your own regimen and finding your own manner that works for you. But getting to know yourself and getting to know what sorts of things you're good at and what sorts of things you need improvement on, just getting familiar with yourself is probably the other most important thing you can do to prepare for math competitions and prepare for AIME.
Thank you, David.
I want to follow up what David said related to AIME. There's another question from a parent about math count preparation. Suyash, you want to say a few words? Your experience? How do you prepare for that?
Was you just asking about math count preparation? Was there something more specific than that, or just preparation in general?
Math counts.
Okay, yeah. The main resource I used is Math Counts Trainer. It's free if you have an AOPS account, and yeah, just consistency is important, like I and others have said. I practice every day, only for about like 20 minutes tops every day. And yeah, you just want to keep progressing there, and it's got all sorts of problems. And I'm just trying to think of what else. Just, yeah, any preparation you're doing for other competitions, whether it's the AMCs, AIME, that's also going to help you. So just keep working at that. Trust me, it's all going to pay off. Okay.
One thing that Eric and David mentioned, trying to solve harder problems, like a higher level problems, has that helped you with the math counts?
I mean, it's hard to say. I guess, yeah, in some ways, it's kind of made me, I guess, yeah, that's kind of hard to judge whether those harder problems have actually helped on a particular competition directly. But yeah, if there's no harm in doing them. So like, yeah, I mean, if that's something you want to try, then certainly go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Now, you guys are all very accomplished. Another parent is asking this question: how do you do all this preparation and manage your time? Anyone want to answer that?
I think you make time. I think there are two different ways you can go with this question. The first is I was actually kind of bad at dealing with schoolwork because I found math more interesting. So my parents would be like, David, you've been in your room all day. Why have you still not gotten your homework done? Because I would be on math and doing stuff like that. The second thing is, I'm trying to figure out the right way to word this. I guess the right way to say this is quality over quantity. Like there are lots of things, you can be involved with lots of things, and that's fine. But I really think you should focus on the things that you're really interested in and try not to, let's say, bloat your schedule with other activities that you might not necessarily be interested in. For example, if you don't find yourself being interested in the Honor Society, then don't go into the Honor Society. Unless it's the Math Honor Society, then that's fine. But it's more a matter of if you're. I want to say this is like a prerogative, but I was saying that, like, the people who are interested in math are going to make time in their schedule to do math. Basically, like it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess.
That's good. Any other thoughts from other panel members?
Oh, I guess I can add on.
Go ahead, Eric, please go ahead.
Yeah, I also wanted to say that you don't necessarily need to like set a block of time to do math either. It's like you can do math while doing other stuff. Like you can think about math while you're taking a shower, right? And often those moments are just as productive, if not more, than the time you take actually sitting down and writing down stuff. Because that's when your knowledge really gets cemented. It's kind of like sleeping, right? When you sleep, sometimes it's better to sleep than to cram for the test, because by sleeping, the knowledge in your brain gets like condensed, right? Like that's like one of the purposes of sleep or something. So I guess it's kind of the same principle. It's like let it be spontaneous, I guess. If you have a thought, then explore it and let your mind kind of just wander. Yeah, there are many opportunities to do that.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Shreya, you want to say anything?
No, I think they covered it all. Like,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, like when I like find myself doing math, it's because I like have a problem that I looked at, or like my friend told me a problem, and then like it eats into all of the other time that I like had to do other things. So then I have to like, squish the other things in a smaller amount of time, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Now I have another question from a parent. This is a very interesting question. I'm sure you have not encountered this problem because you're all math enthusiasts. But what about someone who does not have the same interest or same aptitude? How do they get interested in math? Any thoughts on that?
I guess I'll say two things. Start small and don't force it. Like, by what I mean by that is, if you want someone to get interested in mathematics, I think the best way, a good way to do that is to improve their confidence in solving mathematics problems. And so you don't want to go in and, just start small. Like, if they may be in high school, but you can still do AMC8 problems if that's the sort of thing where you want to feel more comfortable. I guess the other thing is don't force it. Like, if you want to, like, sometimes interest in mathematics or interest in anything in general takes patience, and you don't want to get them to the point where they feel like they have to do well in mathematics in order to do well in other things, and it becomes more of a burden rather than a genuine interest. And once something becomes a burden, then the chances that they're going to develop a natural interest in the subject are less. Not zero, but less. You don't want to make that harder on yourself. You don't want to make it harder, I guess.
That's great advice. Couldn't agree with you more. Eric?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I think in the question you used the word aptitude. I would like to emphasize that I don't think anyone should believe that you don't have the aptitude or like a natural ability to do math. Like there's no such thing as lacking the aptitude to do math. You know, speaking from personal experience, it takes me a lot of time to like learn new things. It takes a lot of thought to kind of pull things over and solidify them. So don't, and also another thing is don't let contest results, like I know a lot of you are very like enthusiastic about contests and scoring high on those, but don't let a low AMC score or something make you think that you don't have aptitude, because AMC score is not any metric of your skill to do math. So I would just say don't let those minor things discourage you. They really don't mean anything.
Suvash, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I mean, if they're not interested at some point, I mean, it's just a natural interest that gets you into this, right? So, I mean, if someone is interested in trying these competitions and they're interested in math, and I guess if you're trying to get someone interested, then yeah, you just, I mean, tell them to give it a shot. I mean, like I said, if you're doing it for fun, and if you don't do that great, it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, like I said, any level you want to take this to, whether it's just for fun or being more serious about those Olympiads, that's perfectly acceptable. So.
Right. Shira, do you agree?
Yeah, like personally, I'm not like that fast or that accurate with like solving problems. So like I'm not as good as like competition math as, you know, maybe I'd like to be. But at the same time, competition problems are like attractive. So like even though I'm not like maybe good at doing it in a contest setting, like taking the problems after like if we have like an HMMT round and you know it's like guts and it's like super fast like this, and we don't get to solve all of them afterwards, like when we have lunch break or something, we'll be talking about them, and that's when like not only do you get like the enjoyment, but also you get like better at it because you actually solve the problems that you weren't able to solve.
Just from my personal experience, I agree with every one of the thoughts that you shared, especially starting small, I think is very helpful. Starting with easier problems. Also looking at some practical applications that will open your eyes to, you know, it's not just boring routine math, but actually it is got day-to-day, you know, usefulness in other fields, can be very helpful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. That's a lot of parents have that question. So the next question is regional contest going to be online? And the answer is yes, it's going to be an online contest. You can go on NorthSouth Foundation website, as Shreya shared earlier, and look up the dates and the rules. And the national will always also be online this year, right? And the rules are also on the website. Please go there and explore. And I think there are also some practice problems that will be shared with you for your students to be able to practice before the contest. Next question, it's a great question for the panel members. Once we go beyond basic resources, what are the next steps, especially for parents of students who are not math whizzes? So what resources beyond the basic? I guess what they're asking, if I can interpret this question, is, you know, some of these resources are maybe at higher level. How do we start with some resources that are going to get them, you know, get them going towards this, get them more interested, I guess.
There are lots of resources out there, and there are also lots of people who have had the same question. So, like, I think the best thing to do is just, maybe not the best thing to do, it sort of depends on the person. I guess I'll give a sort of start. For example, when I was in high school, so the most, trying to figure out the right way to word this. Let me give an example. In geometry, there is a book that is probably sort of dominated all the other books recently. It's called Euclidean Geometry and Mathematical Olympiads by Evan Chen. And this book wasn't around when I was in high school, but it has since become the de facto source for those who are sort of on the border between AIME and Olympiad geometry. And in terms of a very specific resource, it's had a lot of praise, and I would say it's a good book. I can't necessarily vouch for it myself, but there are lots of people who are vouching for it, so there you go. But I guess there are also other, this is the sort of thing where a lot of people do mathematics. So if you search up resources on a particular subject, you might be able to find a handout written by someone, or a list of resources that a list of resources, and you can sort of just explore. I think, like, with AMCs and with AMC and AIME level, there are some established resources like the AOPS books and all those sorts of things. But once you get past that level, it is a little less centralized. But that means it's the sort of thing where if you explore around, you'll be able to find what you're looking for.
One other question is, other than AMC 8 and math counts, what are other good math competitions for middle schoolers? Suyash?
That's hard to say, to be honest. The only other one I can really recommend is Math Kangaroo, but even that, I mean, AMC 8 and math counts are by far the biggest ones. Obviously, I imagine many of them are doing the AMC 10 as well. There aren't that many. There maybe you might want to look into more local competitions, but almost a big one. I'm trying to think. I can't really think of many others that I would necessarily recommend.
So yeah, in general, like, there aren't as many middle school competitions. Other than there aren't as many established middle school competitions. Math counts and AMC are probably the most established ones. That doesn't mean they don't exist. Like Suyash said, Math Kangaroo, but keep in mind, Math Kangaroo is a different style than AMC 8. It's a little more focused on. It's actually Math Kangaroo is actually a nicer introduction to math competitions than maybe Math Kangaroo is a good introduction, because the problems that they focus on are more about taking very basic ideas and very basic ideas and sort of doing more critical reasoning with them rather than doing mathematical technical prowess. Like they could put little mini puzzles on their math contests, and some people might find that more controversial, but I think it's a good introduction. Besides that, there are other random math competitions around there. Like the one thing I can think of is that I don't know how good it is, but I know Purple Comet has is a team contest, and it has a middle school division. It's probably a little harder than AMC 8 and Math Counts, but it also is a team round, so you get the collaboration with the people from there. I also know that, again, I can't vouch for their quality myself, but I do know that some high schools will put together middle school competitions. The ones I can think of off the top of my head are Lexington math tournaments, Montgomery Briller math tournaments, Bergen County Academies for New Jersey people, and there are probably others. There was Exeter's math competition, EMCC. And there are these other ones. Again, I can't vouch for the quality, and the quality probably depends on fluctuates from year to year, but there are opportunities. And I think the importance of these math competitions is more so for the team presence, as Shreya was often alluding to, than it is the actual problems. Like the actual problems sort of are nice for practice, but they're more so a vessel to get people talking about math and excited about math. So yeah.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I think Purple Comet, anybody can sign up, right? So that's one. And also as part of, I think in the school, you can participate also in the Continental Math League, right? I mean, those are probably some easier problems. And yeah, you can reach out to your math teacher. That's probably available for you to participate as well. How much do these competitions help you get into college?
I guess we can wait for David to come back and he can help us.
I mean,
Shreya can answer. She's interested.
You can Shreya in 12th grade. They can, and then Suyash also. So Suyash, you were saying something.
It's from what I've heard. I mean, it helps, right? But like, one thing I heard is like even these top tier schools don't publish the average AMC 12 score, because not everyone takes those competitions. So I mean, it's one way to stand out. And I mean, it's certainly not enough. I mean, everyone's going to have their own different things. So it's, I mean, like I said, I mean, maybe Shreya or David could provide some better, I mean, even they themselves only have one data point, but I think it's good to have, but you need more to make you stand out, because there will still be a hefty number of applicants taking these competitions. So.
And I think few colleges, probably very few colleges probably even have a line in the application to say, what is your highest AMC 10 score or something like that, right? So David's back too. So the question was, how much do these competitions help you get into a college?
Yes and no. Like, I guess showing, I guess like being good at math competitions helps with AIMS, helps with college in the same way that being good at a lot of other extracurriculars helps with colleges. It shows passion, and it shows a willingness to work hard and to you know, really dive deeper into a subject. Like it's good for, I think it's good for a lot of reasons. The math might actually be one of the lesser important reasons why math competitions are helpful for college. It's more so for college applications. It's more so about the intangibles, the ability to work hard, the ability to like persevere, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, there aren't many colleges that even have a line for AMC and AIME in particular. Of course, you could always put them in your extracurriculars if you really want to. There's nothing stopping you from that. But yeah, it's more so a matter of like showing all the intangible stuff. I think that helps with college applications more so than anything else. But of course, we're all just speculating here. College admissions process is kind of like a black box, so you know, don't put complete trust in everything that we say.
Yeah, I also want to say, like, don't like doing math contests shouldn't just like be for college applications. Like, you can do it and you can put it as an extracurricular if you really want to, but like it's the same as being good at like a sport, right? Like, or something else. Like, you can show that you're passionate about it and that, you know, like as David said, you have the dedication and like the drive, but like it's just one of those things.
Yeah, like thanks, Suresh. I think like Suresh said, there's already almost everyone like who's applying for top colleges, I think will show some prowess in their field, right? So I think what counts is if you show your passion in that subject, that counts more, I guess. Can you please report the resources I broke up? I think Daisy would probably send a follow-up email collecting any of the resource links, so you'll get it in the email.
Yeah, and I would request all you guys to send me those extra resources, links or details or something by email today, and so I'll add it to the follow-up email when I send it tomorrow.
Thank you. I think the next question was, how old were you when you first won a math competition? Eric, do you want to start?
All right. Well, okay. So in middle school, I did math counts, but I didn't really do, I mean, I like started studying math, I guess, more seriously in 8th grade, and I didn't advance past the chapter round in math counts. So yeah, that I don't count that as a win. I qualified for AIME in 9th grade. I guess that was you say win math competition. That was like my first. I haven't participated in that many contests, if I'm thinking about it. It was just the main ones, you know, like the AMC and the AIME. So yeah, I think.
Thank you. Shreya?
So I don't exactly remember, but I do remember one particular time I was in 5th grade. The high school, our high school, or not our high school, but our sister high school, they used to have a math contest. And one year in 5th grade, like I thought the problems were really hard. They're particularly ruthless with their problems, like they're high schoolers and they give like hard problems to 5th graders. It's like but somehow like I got a prize for it. And I was really surprised that like I did well because it was so hard. And I think it really motivated me to like, you know, say that I could do something like with math because like even though the problems are hard, like just trying them and seeing what could happen was like rewarding in some sense. Like at that age, like sometimes like you get interested in math for different reasons. For me, until that point, it was like just to, talk with friends. But like at that point, I realized I could, actually be good at it in some sense. So I don't know.
Thank you. Suyash?
Actually, the first time I do remember this, when I was in second grade, because I was in Math B level 1 at that point, and I got first place at regionals. But I mean, yeah, like I'd rather not focus on that as much. But what's really important is that you're constantly improving, right? And you're working to learn new math, and I think that's the most important part of it that you should focus on. So.
Thank you, Suyash. So I think, yeah, I think the NorthSouth contest, like we said, that if they give you opportunity to actually engage and see, and if you look at that, whatever you're doing with school and whatever other things that you're doing, if you participate and not participate just to win, but if you participate to learn, and I think that you can take this as an opportunity to see where you stand and then and use it as an opportunity to learn and go through the preparation. It will definitely be helpful for you. And if you participate long term, like year over year, we see the participants actually who are returning get better at it every year. So I think you should take it as a learning opportunity, because some parents I know, oh, is my kid ready or not, and that kind of questions if you have. I think like from what the panelists are sharing, if you keep trying, and they will probably find it more into that, they are more into it. Because if you at home are talking about them, oh, why don't you try this or whatever, right? That's like as a parent you are telling them. But if they actually see, if they attend and then see there's like 300 other kids who are also having the same interest as you, then it's probably more easy for them to take up that. So that's why I think you should take any opportunity that you have like this for them to participate. David, if you want to share your experience about your math competition, when you first won or how you started.
I don't think I've really ever won a math contest. Like I gotten close. Like I think I guess in the school level, fine, but I think the closest I've ever gotten is like a runner-up or something like that for a contest where like it was being taken by a majority of people and I got like one question wrong or something like that, and there are a bunch of other people who also got one question wrong, and there are a bunch of other people who also got perfect. So like that, I think that's the closest I've ever gotten to really winning. In high school, I mean, I guess like I mostly focus on competitions in high school, and in high school, winning a competition is pretty much impossible unless you have like a local one. So the emphasis is less on winning contests and more on trying to see how far you can get. Like it's impossible to really win the AMC or win the AME, right? Like I guess you could say, oh, I got a perfect score, that counts as winning, but like that's not really a sort of goal you should be trying to obtain anyway. Like if you are aiming to get a perfect score on the AMC or AME, then you should also be doing like way harder math problems. So like I think at that point the emphasis starts like being more so on internal progression, trying to get as far as you possibly can rather than actual winning. So that's kind of my experience with them. Oh, okay. In middle school, I will say that the closest I ever got to actually winning a contest was like getting third place in chapter math counts. So that's basically it. Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you for all of you sharing that opinion. Yeah, so I think you see you participate more for fun and then for the learning experience, right? So I think that's, thank you. Anilji, I think what is the next question we have? A third grade student from Canada can participate in the contest. So I think usually what we recommend is if you see a nearby chapter so that you can register there, but since everything is online, If you don't have a chapter nearby, you can actually register. So we can, if you send an email to contests@northsouth.org, we will suggest a chapter nearby, or we later on probably we might open a virtual chapter which you can register in. So if suppose if you're interested and you don't have it offered nearby you. I think Dr. Krishnan and Dr. Chituri were also on the panel. If they have any thing to share. So I'm not sure about us having chapter in Canada, but definitely anybody who's interested can participate. It's virtual, so we also open up a virtual chapter for anybody who doesn't have a chapter nearby you. What influences you to participate? I think that has been answered. What influences to participate in MathCon? Everybody has answered that. That's asked 4 times. If you please not repeat a question, we can actually look through the questions and see it's not answered. I do math every single day with OPS textbooks, Alchemist, past papers, and many other resources, and I keep doing it, but still have some difficulty for doing contest math often. Is this normal? Is there any way to change this?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I do math every single day with the OPS textbooks, Alchemist, past papers, and many other resources. I keep doing it, but I still have some difficulty for doing contest math often. Is this normal? Is there any way to change this?
It's completely normal. It's completely normal to feel like you're not making progress in math. It's completely 100% normal. You may feel like you're getting stuck. And I think at some point everyone goes through this this stage where you start doing math, you feel like, oh, I'm improving really, really well, and then you get to that point where you get stuck. Like there's that ceiling, and you feel like it's the ceiling. Just kind of, you know, either you can try to keep doing it, or you can try to think about, you know, what exactly is your regimen? You know, what is your regimen? Is it working for you? If it's not working, maybe try to figure out why it's not working, and maybe try to adapt. But you like, improvement slows over time, and that's a completely normal thing. Don't like worry about that. It'll sort itself out eventually.
Thank you, David. Suyash, do you want to add to that?
There are going to be setbacks, okay? It's happened to all of us, and yeah, you just gotta be confident in yourself. And the fact is, your competition scores do not indicate, should not be a sole indicator of whether or not you're improving. You may just have a bad day, right? So, yeah, absolutely. I know it can be frustrating. I get it. I've experienced it myself, but you just gotta keep pushing forward and looking for ways you can improve and do better next time. So.
Thank you, Suyash. Eric, do you want to add to that?
Sure. So yeah, this happened to me as well. As everyone pointed out, it's completely normal and it happens to everyone. I would say, I mean, it's difficult to like diagnose without like knowing all the details, right? But if I were to take a guess, I would say that if you, I guess I'm guessing that you're like doing a mock AMC under a particular time pressure and you're not getting the score that you want. If I were to take a guess, let's say you were given 5 hours to do an AMC, would you be able to do all the problems? I'm guessing that the answer is yes. Okay, if that's not the case, then that means you're like reading the book incorrectly, and then you actually have knowledge gaps to fill in. But I think it's more likely that the first case is true and that you can solve all the problems. It's just that you're like, it's under time pressure or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that means that, and this was the exact same issue that I faced, it's not actually a knowledge gap, but it's a confidence issue. And this is like cliched advice, but it's really true. The only thing you need to get a high score in AMC is to believe in yourself. And yeah, this is actually true. And that's why it's really important to do problems at a higher level, not only because that's the way to like, you know, to attack problems at this level on the contest, you need to do this problem at home. It's not just because of that, but it's because if you are able to solve this problem at home, then you have given yourself the confidence during the contest that you're going to be able to do this problem. You know what I'm saying? Like on the contest day, the only thing that's keeping your score below what you want it to be is due to your lack of confidence and your thought that, hey, I'm on problem 20. I don't expect that I should be able to solve it, and therefore I'm not going to put the effort into it. It's kind of like you expect that you're going to be able to solve problem 1, so you will solve it, even if it's like kind of hard for problem 1. Obviously, an extreme example, but if it's like problem 23, then all of a sudden, even if it's very easy, if you don't expect it, you're going to be able to solve it because of its placement in the test. You're not, you won't do it. And I think that's the only thing that's keeping you back. It's the lack of confidence. So yeah, just do hard problems. And like, do you change your training as well, like a little bit? Try to like mix it up and do different sorts of problems, because I too work through the AOPS textbooks, and I agree that they're good. I mean, they're very popular for a reason, but I will also say that they do train you on a certain type of problem, and it's kind of like, and it's not very, it might not be enjoyable all the time. So, just go into the AOPS context collections and see what kind of, problems that you enjoy doing, and do those. And so I guess the main point is build your confidence. That's the only thing that you need to do.
Thank you. Shrey, you want to add to that? Or?
So whenever I've gotten stuck on like doing a certain type of problem, I'll usually just like take a break from it and come back to it later. Like I found that experience with other types of problems, or like just doing problems in general, will like give me the maturity to go back to the first problem that I wasn't able to solve or something. I'm not entirely sure what like the question was asking. Like, you're worried that you don't do math as often as you like? Was that the question?
No. So he do it quite often, but sometimes they feel like they're stuck at some of the contest problems.
With some of the contest problems. Yeah, okay. So I don't know, like normally when I'm stuck with contest problems, I'll just do it without the time. And then if I like, I don't know. I don't normally like yes, I will get stuck on some problems in the contest, but I also won't think too much of it, because like, I'll get to some problems and then won't get to some other problems. So like, I don't know, just don't take it that seriously. And then if you keep doing problems, you'll get better at it.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to follow up what Shreya said. I think that's a great suggestion. Not just in contest problems, but even outside of that, when you get stuck on a problem, just move on to something else and then come back. Sometimes that, a fresh perspective will help you. Similarly in the contest, if you can't solve the problem, don't waste, extra amount of time on that, because then you'll miss some of the other ones that you can solve. So I think that's a very helpful suggestion.
Thank you. I think one question we see, how and when phase 1 results will be communicated to parents? So since this is online contest, what we've done is, since it's electronically graded, if you are able to submit, finish all the questions and submit within time, and when they submit the answers, I think there is a link that will tell you the score right away. So, and even otherwise, I think by the evening, you can log into the parent account, and we'll be able to see the results in the under the regional contest. I think there was a question that said, have seen students very fast in math like in Science Bowl? Please, can you share a resource, have it some tricks to that, or resources? They're not doing any Vedic type math, but regular math in their mind, I believe.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
They've seen some students do very fast math in like Science Bowl, and they would like us to share some resources to be able to do math in their mind quickly, I think.
Yeah, they're talking about mental math, doing it fast. Is there a tip? Is there a trick to it, or is there a tip?
I honestly can't answer that question. I know there are some resources out there if you want to like really focus on doing like hard computations in your head, but I don't think that's really the most important thing. It's more about being able to think rather than about being able to do being able to do computations accurately is helpful, because it might mean the difference between a 0 and like between getting a question right and getting a question wrong. And so maybe if you want to practice your computations, by all means go ahead. But I think it's more important to focus on learning how to think, I guess.
Anybody else have comments on that? I mean, this question keeps coming back, especially at the Math B level. You know, there are a lot because there's a time limit, obviously, with these, especially phase 2 is a lightning round, which is similar to the math count competition where they have the, like 60 seconds or so to solve a problem.
I guess
any math, speed math skills, I guess, is what did you guys have?
Were you asking me or?
Yes, we are.
Any of you?
Your opinion, like
Well,
especially.
yeah. I mean, there's a very, I guess, yeah, math consequent round, I guess. And at that point, it comes to finding which problems you can do quickly, because all problems are worth the same number of points. So even if you know how to do it, if it's going to be very time consuming, it may be worth just coming back to. At least you have the confidence in knowing that, yes, I can do it. But if it's very time consuming, that may be an issue. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. Obviously, sometimes skipping around problems too much can just be a sign that you're just overly stressed. But if you're looking at the problem, it's like, okay, I can get it done, but either my way of it is just really ugly and it's going to take me 10 minutes to do it. So we're going to leave that one and come back to it. I think to some extent that is okay. So just, yeah, keep that in mind. And as for actually solving the problems quickly, I guess that just takes practice, right? There's not much more I can say about that.
I see. Thank you. So you have to strategize and use your time wisely to get to answer questions as possible, right? Thank you. There's a question is, I have a 7-year-old who loves numbers. How can I make it interesting to him? If you remember your early years, what did you do? And I think there was a similar question. They wanted to know if there is a game approach to trying math problems. Is there a resource that they can try? Go ahead. Sorry,
no,
Dave,
I don't have a good answer. I don't have a good answer. I know that I know the I don't know if this is the game, but I know that the AOPS has started releasing or it's actually been a while, but they've released these books called Beast Academy that are designed to be a little more fun for second, third, fourth, and fifth graders. So that might be something to look into. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thanks, David. I think that will help. I think for the younger graders, probably that might be a good resource. And somebody asked, what were the 2 books that you had recommended? I think they said, what are the 2 books recommended by David earlier? I think I'm not sure what they were. So I think if you left any resources, then send in an email, right? So
yeah, that's probably gonna be better. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I heard that if, for example, if you're prepping for AMC, do AME problems. If you're prepping for AME problems, do JMO problems. Is that true or helpful? Eric?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you generally do want to prepare for a level up. To give, I guess, a little bit more specific advice, it's kind of difficult because like everyone's situation is different, but like say we're talking about a geometry and you're in that case, I would say this advice is particularly relevant to geometry problems if we are talking about specifics, because I don't think you can get better at computational geometry problems by doing computational geometry problems, because somehow you need to like get the structure of the problem, like kind of philosophically. You need to have like some sort of high level understanding of the problem, and it's kind of difficult to get that through the type of training, the type of how computational geometry would shape your mental processes. Like if you get into the process of like trig bashing or coordinate geometry and all that sort of thing, then I don't think you can actually get better at geometry, paradoxically. So yeah, so I guess in general, to generalize this advice from geometry to all to like math contests, the other topics in math contests in general, the reason why it's better to do problems at a higher level than the one for which you're preparing is because you're able to appreciate the structure of the problem at like a more philosophical level, like a higher level, so that when you're actually approaching it, you like have a stronger intuition for it, I guess. It's kind of fuzzy to put it like that, but you'll get that feeling, I think.
I think also makes you feel comfortable at the level that you're at if you have solved higher level problems. You know, makes you feel a little more comfortable.
Going back to the confidence thing, yeah.
We are approaching the final minutes of the session. So any questions, Dr. Sethi, you want to ask, or any final, Vinay? We'll start winding up.
Anil,
I think,
for the panel.
Go ahead, sorry, Vinay, go ahead.
No, I don't have any questions, but if you have any questions for the panel, that would help.
No, I think in the interest of time, first of all, I want to, on behalf of NorthSouth Foundation, we want to thank all of the students and parents who joined in today, as well as our great panel and the great experiences and tips and tricks that they shared with us, how they got to where they are. And we can't thank them enough. I mean, I learned a lot, certainly, from this session. I'm sure the parents did too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody have any last word? David or Eric or Shreya?
I guess I'll just sort of update, I'll just sort of briefly talk, sort of clarify what Eric said, just so I have a different perspective. It's not, when you say like, oh, if you want to prepare for AMY, do JMO problems. It's not, we're not saying, oh, once you start preparing for AMY, immediately do JMO problems, because that's going to be too much. It's more so like, don't start preparing for JMO only when you think you're good enough at AMY to qualify for the JMO. That's, I think, a better way to think about it. It's like helping with the Olympiads will help with the harder problems. So at some point, there's like, getting better at AMY by doing AMY problems can only help you so much. At some point, you're gonna have to jump ship to the JMO, but it should be before you think. It should be before you think you're like, oh, I'm really good at AMY. Now I should start thinking about JMO. It's like there's more of a fuzzy line in between that I think is like helpful. The same thing goes with AMC and AMY.
Thank you.
Great advice. Great advice.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for attending the webinar, and also thanks all the panelists for taking your time, patience, answering all the questions. And also I want to thank Dr. Sethi and Vinay for helping us with the questions and making it more interesting. Please stay healthy, please stay safe, and we'll see you right back here next week. And thanks again for all your time, help, and good luck to you all. And then have a wonderful future endeavors, whatever you are doing. We'll probably come back again next year and then talk about math again.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.